Hello, everyone, and welcome to this next episode of Stress-Free Living. I'm your host, Annie Kalatkar, and with me today is my very dear friend and business colleague of 13 years, Ashley Lee. Ashley is an extraordinary woman. I will do a very quick thumbnail sketch here. Ashley and I came together to work on solving the challenge of spontaneous healing. And we explored so many modalities, and we realized it's not just one. And to this extent, we came to realize that our belief systems have tremendous impact on who we are, how we experience our inner environment and our outer environment. So continuing her journey as a profound humanitarian and healer, earlier this year, Ashley joined Botany Scientifics after being a pediatric cardiology and pulmonary CVICU nurse. Okay, so she had a glorious career working with newborn children and older children, and she continues to do that work privately in her private practice as a healer. However, she has gone into the most amazing arena of full spectrum hemp as another healing modality to support people taking it to the next level. So I asked Ashley just this morning, and I learned that she was so curious to determine and experience how full spectrum hemp could help us connect to our own inner knowing, right? And that is what the leap of consciousness has always been about. How do we connect with our unconscious mind and our subconscious thoughts? And so, Ashley, I am going to just turn the mic over to you. Thank you for being here. Maybe you could start with how hemp helps us heal, but maybe even just a little bit ahead of that question is, you and I determined a long, long time ago that if you do not have a healing intention and a clear understanding of your approach, your inner approach and your outer approach to healing, that your efforts do not gain the momentum that you were looking for, and your outcome and your results may vary. So as we went along on our journey, you came up with this gorgeous phrase called impeccable intention. And that impeccable intention, when it's paired with bridging tools and supplements, right? Such as hemp, right? How does that work? And how would you define an impeccable intention, and take it away?
Okay, what a great prelude and afterlude to a question. It sounds like my questions. So I'm so grateful. Thank you, Annie. What is an impeccable intention? Let's start there. So many people believe that an impeccable intention is that I'm going to show up. I'm going to be present. I'm going to acknowledge what is. I'm going to be with what is, rather than blaming and shaming myself and others that it occurred. I'm going to be with letting go of the attachment to outcome, so that I can actually have revealed to me opportunities I hadn't seen before. Because when we know the goal and we know the outcome and we know how to get there, a lot of times we'll follow that path, and that isn't the path, because we've tried it dozens, maybe hundreds of times to heal ourselves in that way, and it didn't really heal because we're back healing the same thing again and again. So how do we get off of that closed loop circle of knowing how to do it and we're not really doing it or creating it? So an impeccable intention brings us to this next level of an inner standing or understanding about how to curate and cultivate that intention. And the one is to not place the power in the very thing that we're taking in. So it could be a supplement. It could be a pharmaceutical med. It could be a nutraceutical med, like this power plant called Hemp. It could be a homeopathy sugar pill that's in, molecules of the essence that we want to heal. There's so many ways. We could go to a body worker and that person could fix us, i.e. a massage therapist or an acupuncturist, an orthopedic surgeon, whoever, right? We resource to bring to us the opportunity to heal. And we've been trained and taught in many areas of life. It could be the family, it could be schooling, it could be education, it could be the television, it could be our healthcare systems that train us to take from what's outside of us and bring it in, put it in our body, or receive it from another person, and then have that thing or that person fix us. I'm inviting us to move to the next level called impeccable intentions, where we ask that resource that we either take into our body, we put it on topically, or we ingest it, or we inhale it. We're picking new ideas of putting it in our eyes. I don't know, all different spaces and places on our body to help ourselves heal. And so how we take it in or how we receive it from others is we ask deeply, is that resource, in this case, it would be hemp. In that resource, we could be literal here. Hemp, share with me deeply before I take it in, before I utilize it on my body. Hemp, show me the awareness, help me see the awareness, provide support and love to understanding what the awareness is on how to help myself heal. So the hemp works as an adjunct. Orthopedic surgery works as an adjunct. Chemotherapy works as an adjunct for some people. Some people, all kinds of different things. Good food and nutrition, good rest and sleep. All of those things help us become more aware of how to help ourselves heal. Because ultimately, you know you better than anyone else. And us gaining access to our consciousness, our awareness, right? Our everyday awareness, then our subconscious awareness, the part of ourselves that we buried and didn't want to deal with, like hypervigilance to pain and suffering, right? We're right? We all resemble that. I'm pretty sure that's why I became a nurse, right? To help people become advocates for their own health and healing. And the advocacy starts with this impeccable intention to allow the resources you're calling in to support you to be a bridge, to bridge that gap. The gap is you don't yet know how to do it. So learning and leaning in each and every moment throughout the day, learning the awareness of how to connect to helping ourselves heal. Now, Annie, ask me a question, or anyone in the audience, ask me a question about what it is you'd like to heal. And we could practice for just a moment about what it is to create an impeccable intention. And the aspect of us practicing what an impeccable intention is we're having the experience of it and the awareness about it versus just the conversation. Because if we speak mentally, left brain linear, and we just talk about the way and the how to do it, we'll do it like robots, and we won't really pay attention to the awareness that's coming in throughout the day to help ourselves heal. And sometimes it takes more than a day to heal, doesn't it? So sometimes we have to keep listening for that awareness all throughout that time in which we've created that journey of healing.
Wow. I mean, where do I begin? I have acute stuff and I have chronic stuff.
Great way to access, become aware, and resource how you'd like to do it, because chronic is a little bit of a different pathway than acute, isn't it?
It is. And I think all of us have combinations, right? And I was sharing with Ashley this morning that I feel like a lot of my symptoms are what I would call an unintended consequence, where it got to a tipping point and then there was like a I used the phrase cytokine storm, which is just such inflammation in the body that everything got affected, right? And that was never my intention. Maybe my intention, if I rewind the clock, was I just need to get through this meeting and not get angry and not share my wrath and fury at the injustice of the blah, blah, blah. And so maybe that got suppressed and I didn't know where to go with it. And then I had another thing to go to and another job to do and kids to worry about. And I forgot about the wrath and fury, but my body didn't. So
that's exactly true. You have a great point right there about when we do get a moment of reprieve, a moment of it's better. We then go rapidly right on to the next activity, believing we don't have enough time, believing we don't have enough energy or resources, or, you know, it could be money, it could be people, it could be all types of things that are impacting our ability to continue through the healing process. Finding the root cause, understanding the root cause, how I created it in the first place, how I take responsibility for creating all of my illnesses, conditions, diseases, challenges, traumas. We created all of them. Was I the perpetrator in the process? Was I the victim in the process? What role was I playing when I created these cluster of symptoms and challenges before me? So that's the moment when we feel reprieve and it's a little bit better. When we're there, that's the time to dig deeper about how to help heal ourselves permanently from these situations.
I agree, but let's say I forgot, and this was 25 years ago. Okay, are you suggesting then that I have this conversation with the hemp that I'm about to ingest? And I say, before I take and swallow this capsule or eat this gummy, I invite you, the ingredient in the hemp, to share with me and open my awareness back up as to what created this symptomology in my body that I have forgotten, that may have been at birth because maybe I didn't like the tone of the doctor, you know, and now I'm in my 50s. So
I resemble that.
I think we all do. So what I guess I'm getting at is we set that intention then, right? To say, somewhere long ago, I forgot what created this problem in my body, and I open now to understanding what it is that I did so I can work on healing it.
Ooh, I love that, because that's a way to presence in the now moment the past that had already occurred. And you can bring that past into the now moment where all your power exists, right, to support you in recognizing. So our important investment through this process too is to remain open all day, no matter what happens in the day, no matter what chaos and craziness we occur, that we stay aware, awake, alive, and alert to the intention we set at the beginning of the day. So, like, for example, lots of people take our full spectrum capsules. They're 25 milligram capsules. People take them to ingest them into your digestive tract. So they go deep into the body, deep into the bowels, deep into where we digest life. And we start to unravel the layers and layers and layers of challenges we created for ourselves. And so that's why in our company at Botany Scientifics, we really want to support people taking the capsules for 90 days, because it's about 90 days, about 3 months, where we start to actually create a shift and a change. So just think about, if you wake up every morning going, my impeccable intention is to understand where, let's say, my hypertension is coming from. Where is my hypertension coming from? And so I take the capsules. I take 1 or 2 in the morning, and I go throughout my day. And then all of a sudden somebody's yelling at me. And I take in that yelling at me, and I take it in as I own it. It's my problem. They did it. They're mad at me, blah, 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 whatever that story is. And I'm like, oh, there's a spot where I can get hypertensive by taking in other people's energy being mad at me. So I'm taking in that anger, that upset, that frustration, and I'm taking it on personally as my own. Now, how many of us on this call, live and pre-recorded, how many of us take on the energies of others, don't realize it, and could be causing disrupt and discord inside our bodies?
Everyone on this call is an empath.
Right?
Right?
I think every human's an empath. Just some of
they
us have
are.
unrealized.
They really are. But I've noticed that with the leap of consciousness, the people who are drawn to this channel are a frequency match to recognizing they are a highly sensitive individual. And as such, they tend to go in and out of oneness all day long with other people's feelings, thoughts, emotions, and then sometimes there's residue, and they may go into agreement with someone's victim state and take on their cold, their flu, some people have taken on cancer, and I think that these are states where we have to learn mastery for checking in with ourselves. Is this mine? Is this my symptom? What part of this do I need to own? Right?
Right. And sometimes even when we take on other people's stuff, we don't have to own their stuff, but we get to own that we took it on.
Right.
And that was our part in the process. And so now when we don't take it on, how do we deal with the person? Because just telling them to back away and move away and create borders and boundaries doesn't really help with the relationship either. A lot of times it can antagonize it and make it worse. And then you got more hypertension. Everybody's got hypertension. And so that's part of the issue is then you can say, Hemp, now that I've realized I take on everybody else's anger and upset, what is my next part in this process? How do I facilitate being compassionate to their feelings without taking their feelings on, without taking it in or taking the blame and going, wait a second, I recognize you're angry, whatever that conversation is with them, whatever that way, but that's your way of being to recognize what is my belief. If I take on their emotions and they start getting calmer, then everything will be better. So what did we just learn there is people pleasing, right? Or placating the person who's angry. And a lot of times we do that and then we reinforce the person to keep acting angry at us because we give them what they want.
So true. Exactly.
So we have conundrums in our mental mind and in our mental way of being with each other that we don't realize that are causing physical disease and conditions. So we want to unravel that as the day progresses.
Okay, so let's jump into some of the basics because I don't even know what the difference is between hemp and marijuana.
That is an awesome question because I did not either. Okay, and I grew up in Hawaii on the Big Island. Okay,
I grew up in San Francisco.
We can just say we're a lot of in the 1980s.
I had to ride the bus through the Haight-Ashbury to go to high school.
Right. Okay, so
I don't know the difference.
Yes, so marijuana and hemp are of a similar species and of a similar family. Even their leaves look almost the same. However, the plant is completely different. Marijuana grows really tall and is really green and utilizes the buds and the leaves for most of the cannabis aspect of it. CBD is what we've known. And then there's so this is really hard to share scientifically because this chemistry and this way of being with this power plant is just unfolding in our scientific community. So there are many people who realize that there are 123 different CB derivatives, cannabinoid derivatives. And those are, so it's CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, CBE, and it's pretty much the whole alphabet and then some.
That fits with my understanding of plants. So you could take coffee. I think it has over 250 different compounds. They haven't isolated all of them for every different type of bean. And they don't know which ones do what. And that's why some people love it, some people hate it. So
our world of biochemistry, yes, comes into play. And many biochemists are coming on online in the healthcare realm to help us understand molecules, how they work, why they work, and what they work for. And we're adding in the consciousness aspect of utilizing hemp as well, so that we can really come to a conclusion, come to accomplishment, come to a completion of actually healing what's inside of us. And so in the conversation about hemp and marijuana, is marijuana was noted to create entourage effects, or effects where we could get out of our left brain, our logical linear mind suppressed left brain, and move into the right brain and become more brain integrated. When we're more brain and neurology integrated, we can connect to our heart, we can connect to our organs, we can connect everywhere to our body, including our energy centers. So when we can connect to our energy inside our body, we then have the capacity to bring it up, to raise it down. Like if our energy is really high about being super angry and we're hypertensive, then we can recognize that we're utilizing an emotion to raise our energy level to get something done or to complete something. So a lot of times we as a human society use emotions to get things moving. But unfortunately, it has a consequential price tag to it. Yeah. How many times do you press the easy button to get angry? And then as you mature in your life, how many more times do you get to press that button called your adrenals or your epinephrine or your norepinephrine or your fight or flight? We use fight or flight every day when we hate doing the laundry. Yeah. We used to do fight or flight when something was chasing us and going to kill us. But now we're all upset about doing the laundry. So yeah, when we wonder why we have stress and we wonder why we have disease, these are some of the aspects of what is underneath all that.
So let me guide you into the next level of questions that I want to have answered. We have this thing called an endocannabinoid system. I didn't even know we had this. I knew we had gluteomorphin receptors and we had casomorphin receptors. And those are like similar to morphine, right? They made a drug called morphine that would click in and then the body would say, oh, that blocks the pain. Can you share with us the endocannabinoid system that we all seem to have in our bodies? And then how does that work?
I would love to, because I think that leads into a deeper conversation about what are the differences and the distinctions between hemp and marijuana is the endocannabinoid system. Okay. The endocannabinoid system, it's a long word, right? Cannabinoid. I'm not sure who made that up. It probably came from cannabis.
Yeah.
However it is, we make our own. I'm going to give a big medical word here, endogenous. Endogenous means we create it inside our body naturally. Exogenous, exogenous. Exogenous means it got created outside the body and we put it in the body. And how we assimilate that then is up to us. And so a lot of us are getting very sensitive to synthetically made products. For example, most of our food in America, other countries do a little bit better job, that stop making synthetic foods, and we actually have real whole foods because our body is used to processing that. So same kind of idea. The endocannabinoid system, we make it naturally in our body as newborns, except critically ill ones. I'm excited for research and development in learning biomarkers about that endocannabinoid system and how it's on and not on and more not on and totally not on, because it does impact us greatly when it's not on. We're naturally born as humans, as babies. When we cut the cord, we're flooded with endocannabinoids, probably from the placenta and throughout the growing fetus. Wow. We're flooded with them so that our own endogenous ones that we made with the mother, through the placenta, through the whole oneness activity of mother and child. Okay. And then we have so much in our body at that time because we have to grow 3 times our size in the first year. It is the most growth physiologically that we do cellularly than any other time in our lifetime. And so what endocannabinoids do when it floods the system like that is it is adaptogenic. So these receptor sites, endocannabinoid system is our adaptive system. It helps us adapt to stress. It helps us adapt to outside influences. It helps us adapt and become aware. When we're adaptive, are we not more aware? When we're maladaptive, aren't we more subconsciously subdued? Right? We're not aware. We're not present.
Yeah, if you're not present, then you can be hacked. Like, we know this from all the psyops that have been going on for decades, right? You're more prone to brainwashing when you're not aware. So, everyone on this call would label themselves awake, right? So how does that awake state increase your adaptability?
How does that awake state increase your adaptability? That's such a great question. I think it's the other way around.
Oh.
How does your adaptability help you be awake?
Oh, stay awake, maybe.
Yes. Like, I'm awake about my husband doing this and that, but I'm not awake about how maybe bitchy I am towards him. So we can be awake about what we prefer, and we can be unawake about what we don't prefer.
You're right. You're
and
right.
So we are these multidimensional, very abstract human beings called sentients. We have the ability to construct our matrix, our life. And most of us in this time period of 2025, we construct it through the mental thoughts of our brain. Mm-hmm. And so when we are not awake, alert, alive, and aware of everything, we then become maladaptive to the situation. And what the hemp does is allow us, because hemp in the endocannabinoid system, hemp has been pure. It hasn't been impacted by growers, pharmaceuticals, our regulating agencies all over California.
It hasn't been hybridized like marijuana has.
It hasn't been hybridized like marijuana. Marijuana has been hybridized over the last 20 to 30 years
to disguise
create different effects. And it's to create mental different effects. One is to help you sleep. And I'm not sure that it really does, because it's really mental. And when our mind keeps going, our to-do list keeps going all night, I'm not sure that that really helps. The marijuana does for sleep. I found that the hemp allows you to sleep because you're connecting to learning how to sleep. You're not connecting to learn how to do things faster. So marijuana serves a purpose to have a new mental perspective that's in the way. So that's how I've utilized it every once in a while, to test it, to see what it does to the body, is to say, show me a different perspective. And it shows me a different mental perspective. Whereas hemp hasn't been hybridized by humans. It's been kept pure. It's like a plant that's about 18 inches tall. Most of it grows, 80% of it stems and the bark of it. So a lot of times hemp is utilized for industrial products like clothing, like
concrete,
hempcrete, right? Concrete, and building materials. It's very good. It has antifungal effects, so the building doesn't get fungus in it. It has fire retardants in it. Hemp also miraculously heals soil. So glycophosphates and other things. So many people are starting to, especially in other countries, are starting to plant hemp to recondition the soil, because it'll do it better than our biochemists can figure out how to move out those pesticides and, nefarious activities with chemical manipulation of our soil. Hemp can also serve as that product. The top of the plant is where the buds and the leaves are, and that's what's used for full spectrum hemp oil. That's where most of the CBD product aspect is. There's very little THC in hemp. And what THC is in there, they call it, because of the way the molecule is constructed, they call it Delta 8. In marijuana, the molecule is slightly different. I can't remember exactly now, and I probably should, but I want a chemist on our Medical Consortium board and our Medical Advisory Board to tell me. I think it's 2 more oxygens on the Delta 9, and that's the marijuana THC. So that marijuana THC is very different. The endocannabinoid system, I'm not sure, but I think that there is less endocannabinoids in marijuana, and there's more endocannabinoid derivatives inside the hemp. So the hemp
Fascinating.
is really utilized for medicinal purposes and purposes to support our planet becoming healthier. Marijuana has now turned into an opportunity, and that can be healthy too, right? If our mental mind is a mess and we're psychologically fractured and we're completely disconnected from our world, from our experiences, from life, we want death, we want to die, we don't want to live, we hate what we hate. When we're in that state, even marijuana can help us have a different mental perspective and help us get out of our mental mind a little bit and into a deeper connection with our earth, with our cosmos, with our nature, with each other, and with ourselves. And when we back it up to ourselves, we have that opportunity for health and healing that we didn't realize.
So true. So let's talk about hemp as medicine, because everyone knows there's different products out there on the market. And how do you know what product you need to utilize for optimal health and healing intentions or potentials, right? We're looking to optimize our impeccable intention and get the results we want. And so I know a lot of people, if one is good, five is better. So, and like with homeopathy, one little pill is all you need, but it says 3 to 5 on the bottle. And I'm like, you could take one pill and make 10,000 servings if you put it in water. So hemp has its own characteristics and qualities. Could you speak to, things like what's the best time of day? Does it matter about your body weight and your height? Like, is it, one size?
Let's preface that question. It's a really deep question. It's a wonderful question. And I love where we're going through this, because the whole context of this conversation is about patient advocacy. That's from the nursing point of view, right? Or the healthcare practitioner point of view. But really, it's from your own point of view, is we want you to be your best advocate. And if you can't come to the table as your best advocate, it's really challenging, because nobody can make you go to the bathroom. Nobody really can make you heal. If you don't want to heal and you don't know you don't want to heal, only you can determine that more than anyone else. I mean, everyone can tell you, hey, it's obvious you don't want to heal. It's obviously you're ready to take your airplane ride permanently.
You're so stuck.
And so there's a certain part of that where we, as the outside people resourcing you, say, how may we best love, serve, and support you, even when you want to transition? But if you want to live and you want to thrive and you want to be healthy, there has to be this deep onus inside you to say, I am willing and committed, not just call the doctor, not just make the appointment, not just pay for the medical insurance, not just take the pills like you said for me to do, and then I'm supposed to get better. No. We're missing the whole aspect of healthcare. We can do all of those activities, and all of those activities are not good or bad. All of those activities can be an integral part of your healing process. But the most valuable integral part of your healing process is you recognizing you created it, taking responsibility for it, whatever it is, without blame, shame, and complain, without anything
regret or
bad, and go,
remorse.
oops, look at that, I did that. I fell out of the tree. Dang. I got a concussion so bad. I did so many accidents in my life, and I take responsibility for all of them, no matter whether somebody else is involved.
I like to raise my right hand and say, okay, I own it. I did that. I did that to me. When
you own it, that's where your power is. If you don't own it, you don't have power to correct it. And that's why we hand our power over to somebody else or something else to fix us.
Yes. I know this is a little deep and maybe we don't want to go here, but I think you and I have been in conversation about how people fail to heal because they cannot access God within, and they give the power to the hemp, they give the power to the chemo, they give the power to whatever it is that they've chosen as their savior. And they're looking for the magic pill. And this is no different, right? But we're here facilitating the change, facilitating the difference in how you approach a healing modality, so that no matter, it could be you're dehydrated and you give the power to the water to quench your thirst, right? And changing that relationship is what it's all about.
Totally about. So for example, I have a glass of water too. And so I'll drink the water, not because I'm dehydrated. I'll drink the water because it's been a little while since I've learned how to hydrate myself, i.e. have some water from before. So it's been a few hours. So hydrating now is a wonderful thing to help keep everything lubricated, right? As an example. So how do we then, like you shared, I'm going to ask the audience and Annie, how do we move that needle every day in every way? Remembering our divinity, right? Remembering what's possible inside of us, feeling connected. And I think we can just go right there, right? Is like, I feel like I've witnessed it in the intensive care unit endlessly. When things are at its darkest, we feel disconnected from our soul. We feel disconnected from our inspirited self. We feel betrayed. We feel let down. We feel the world has failed us. I've failed me. You failed me. We failed me. Everybody has failed me.
I call it
Annie,
helpless,
you and I know many people like that.
Hopeless and powerless.
Yes, hopeless, powerless. And I am mad at the world. But see, we didn't take responsibility for us getting mad at the world. Yeah. We didn't take responsibility on learning how to get unmad with the world and unmad with ourselves and start working with what's really occurring.
Exactly.
Like it's been a little while since I've had water.
So every sip, every bite of food, every supplement or medication that we take, we have that opportunity to empower what it is with divine frequencies, with our impeccable intention.
Yes.
Right? It's no different than saying grace over your food, is it?
No, it's no different. So let's just go back to some physiology right now in the body about the endocannabinoid system.
Right.
And so THC, by the way, is part of the endocannabinoid system. It's just a different molecule that has an amazing effect psychotropically with our ability to process information in our brain. So that's why it's called psychotropic effects. That's why it's considered as a Schedule I drug and all this sort of stuff. But I can tell you, how many times does morphine or fentanyl, the things we supposed to take in the hospital, not outside, I'm just saying, everybody, those are drugs that are meant to be utilized when you have advanced medical care at your side to help you breathe and do other things, that those powerful drugs diminish your vital signs. So I'm not sure how it entered the streets, but however it did, I invite everybody not to try that. But we can even go lower in a dosing called oxycodone or Percocet or any other types of pain medicines. And a lot of people are utilizing THC as a pain management system because I guess you have to take enormous amounts. And it's amazing how some companies, especially in the marijuana realm, make outrageous doses of THC for things. And I want to just share in the dosage realm, less is more. Okay? Less is way more when you're energetically sensitive. Less is way more when you're untrusting, by the way. So you try a little bit, you experience what it is in your body, how it works, you have impeccable intentions, and you grow that intention. So you can titrate for effect. So you take a little bit, oh, it didn't do anything. Okay, next time I'm going to take a little bit more. But if it didn't do anything, I'm still going to have the impeccable intention of becoming aware. So maybe even just with a little bit on board, you become a little bit more aware. And next time you try a little bit, oh, I feel a difference. I feel more peace. I feel more calm, right? At a little bit of a higher dose. We have dosing cards for our different products. But what is so amazing is the fact is that we can titrate up for effect. It's way better to take less and know what you're working with rather than taking more and getting blindsided by it a little bit and going, oh my God. So we had a person, we were introducing our tincture. You put it underneath your tongue, or it's peppermint flavored, it's peppermint oil, it's full spectrum hemp oil, and it's MCT oil. So it's just 3 ingredients to deliver the full spectrum hemp and kind of taste good along the way. And so it doesn't taste like marijuana at all. It's mostly CBD products. It has 0.3% THC, which is just a little bit to give you the full spectrum of the hemp oil and the endocannabinoid system into your body. So it's meant to be physiological, not mental. And so many of these that have less than 0.3%, even on marijuana products, when it says 0.3% THC or less, it is not meant, unless you take a lot of it, it won't show up on a drug test. It's just there to help you feel the full effect of the whole endocannabinoid system that plant is there to provide for you. Okay, and to help you become aware.
So do people have side effects from it besides healing?
Besides healing, working, right? We asked our manufacturer. We met our manufacturers. They're in Florida. Our company is based in San Antonio, Texas. It's a full American, all hemp is derived from American fields. It's processed in America and it's distributed in America. And also, so our quality controls are much better when they're in those environments. All of our products are FDA approved and all approved on many legislative levels. The point is, though, at the factory where they manufacture our products, our ingestible products, I asked them, I said, have we or any other company had negative side effects sent to you all, the manufacturer, about full spectrum hemp? And they said, no, we have never had anyone die, anyone have a bad effect. The only complaint we've received is it didn't work. And I said, I think it didn't work because maybe we didn't have an impeccable intention. Maybe we had an intention of leaving the planet and not staying. And or maybe we had the intention being stuck in our victim consciousness of pity and sorrow about our situation, and we didn't know how to come out of that.
Yeah.
And that's where you and I in the leap of consciousness work very deeply about how to unravel that mental construct that kept us stuck in an unhealing state.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
is that even
we're going
our vocabulary?
Get to Q&A here in just a minute, but I do want to share that I have been helping people understand that it's really important that, you just brought up someone who it didn't work for. And, we have to ask the question, are or were their symptoms even theirs? Because if it wasn't theirs, no medicine in the world is going to heal those symptoms. And the other question is are they living to live or are they living to die? Because they could be a people pleaser.
Let's have one real quick distinction about that. Yeah. When it's not ours and we didn't source it, but we believe it and we feel it and it's real in our cells, it becomes real in our cells. Now it's our job to fix it. So we actually do over time, and I don't think it's instantaneous, but over time we can start developing it. And so, yes, you're right, though. It is a little bit harder because it's harder to find what the source is. So the source may be, do I feel that person's pain? Like you could talk about mother and child bonding. A mother would way rather take on the pain of the child than have the child feel the pain. A broken arm or cancer or whatever it is, a stomach ache, a headache, whatever it is. And so a lot of times it's called transference or physical surrogacy. And a lot of times they'll take it on and it'll be physiological real. So let's say we're taking the hemp plant as well for the day and we're learning about our awareness about how to help us heal. But the endocannabinoid system does something actually physiologically beyond intention setting, is it takes from one neuron to the next neuron, there's this gap, right? And a lot of neurotransmitters go across this gap. Also peptides and many other molecules, chemicals, go across this to make our neurology intact in our peripheral nervous system and then in our central nervous system, in our spine and in our brain, on how we process information and understanding and turn that into wisdom. Okay. And so when our endocannabinoid system is not intact, what I found is that our stem cells, our immune system, our lymphatic system, our cardiovascular system, our neurology system, all starts to go downhill. This is where I sense, as we're getting older and due to enclave of stress piling up over the years that we don't learn how to dismantle in the moment when the stress occurs, and well, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that later. Well, later never comes, does it? Because there's something else to do.
Right.
So
and
then we get even used to
we're not
distractions.
used to going there either.
Right? Well, yeah, we'll bring in distractions. I don't want to deal with that. What's on YouTube?
Yeah. And if we have trauma, we are going to just look the other way.
Correct. So what the endocannabinoid system does is it allows CBD and CBG. I love CBG. CBG really helps us open up our intestinal tract and helps us connect between our brain and our gut. And we start talking to each other. So our gut starts telling us what to digest versus what we need to taste or have this beautiful eating experience versus actually what's good for our body. And what do we need in the moment to help us heal?
So you brought up the nervous system, and the nervous system connects to every single organ and gland in the body. There is no exception, right? I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Even our energy centers, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So can you feel your meridians?
Some days, yes.
I can. Every day in every way. I can experience now having hemp in my body for 7 months at a low dose. Through the intestinal tract, I can feel my meridians. I can feel my chakras. I can feel my dantians. And when I can feel my energy, I have way more personal, individual power coming from and with my physical body than I ever knew possible. And I haven't found that in any other plant other than hemp right now in this moment.
So that makes me ask some new questions. Could your body get desensitized to hemp?
You know, that's a great question because I played with that a little bit and went on 5 or 10 days or 20 days off hemp completely. And it didn't do anything because it's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to connect to your energy, to your systems, to your physical body, to your kidneys. Oh, my kidneys hurt. Do I drink more water? Yes, I drink more water with electrolytes. What electrolyte? More calcium. Okay, perfect. More calcium or less calcium or whatever it is, right? I know instantaneously we become our own medical intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't that how we've always been healing before Western medicine and other things got created?
It is. So I think a lot of our diseases today are created from problems that are stuck energetically in the nervous system. So we have anxiety, right? And, that just brings a lot of adrenaline to your solar plexus to spread throughout the fascia in the body to prepare you for fight or flight. So, and then also you may have PTSD and hypervigilance. Let's just clump all of that together. Anxiety, hypervigilance, and PTSD, post-traumatic stress. Some people, it is a syndrome. What are the general learnings about hemp and how it supports the nervous system, either letting this go or reducing the triggers? I'll let you share. Go ahead.
I want to say let's go back to being a newborn. When we have an intact endocannabinoid system, we are more fully adaptive than we've been in all of our lives, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we're adaptive, then when somebody comes at us and they're angry at us, for example, we now can be adaptive and go, wow, they're angry at us. Wow, what is creating that? Wow, how do I best address that? Wow, how do I not take that on and let that just flow through me? So instead of life is happening to me, life is flowing through me. So now all of a sudden, I'm not a victim to their attack on anger. Now all of a sudden, I'm aware, awake, and alert to support that person unraveling their anger. Okay, because their anger is giving them hypertension. Their anger is giving them chronic renal disease. Their anger is giving them maybe headaches. Their anger is giving them maybe unresolved sleep patterns. All kinds of things. Intimacy issues, all sorts of things that are going on because of anger and outbursts that they don't know how to work with yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the person in front of them that is adaptive and is there to be supportive to help them through that process, or to suggest, I'm not the one to help you because we're too close. So here's another person that can help you. Okay.
Right.
So there's lots of different ways. So adaptability allows us to be in optimal health all day long, even when we hate doing the laundry. So what if instead of hating doing the laundry, go, I'll do the laundry when I'm ready to do these other things. I don't know, manufacture a really beautiful way to get your everyday life completed, happy, well-adjusted, adaptive, and just singing the love and life as an opportunity to have a brilliant day.
You know, I did see Zig Ziglar in a big, hotel scenario, but I don't know if I read this or heard it. He said, do the most onerous task on your list first as a discipline, because everything after that will just flow, because you won't be doing it in the reverse order, knowing, ew, this is coming up. So then you don't enjoy anything all day long, right? So I changed my inner discipline, and I noticed anytime I started procrastinating, which procrastination is a sign of deeper trauma in the mental mind and in the physical body. If there's, the synapse is locked or closed, that if you flip the script and you consciously choose to do the most onerous thing and get it off your plate, you feel so much better and you have so much more energy, and all of a sudden your happiness is back and you feel good about yourself, and you're like, okay, God, I'm so glad I chose to do that, right? So sorry to get off track here, but I realized that many people don't recognize that procrastination is a sign of trauma, and that
I sense so, and I think that's what leads into what you're sharing about, is it addictive, or is it, because I think a lot of our government programs and different things and different constituents and different factions and agendas, alcohol and beverage control and all different other kinds of agencies want to control the money that flows through all this. We're not talking about money. We're talking about healing. And we're talking about low price points of what we're doing, because our mission, our purpose, our passion inside Botany Scientifics is to emancipate humanity's brilliance. And we're going to do it one person at a time, one situation at a time, and adapt along the way. And learn to adapt again and have that fulfilled, so that we can learn how to work with stress. Because we're not going to get rid of stress. We're going to learn how to work with it, reframe it, and readjust it so that it doesn't mentally take us down.
Yeah, I love it.
So it being addictive, I guess it could be addictive if you utilize hemp or anything else, by the way, even water. Okay, can be addictive, and you can have too much of it, drop your sodium and have seizures. Okay, so we can even be addicted to water, and water can be poisonous to us. Okay, so it's called hyponatremia. If you drink too much water, you drink over a gallon of water a day, you're going to drop your sodium, okay, and other electrolytes, because you're flushing yourself out. Now, if you want to do a flush, that's a whole different protocol and a different understanding of how to work with that. You're taking other supplements along the way. So, but anyway, what is occurring about addiction is we get addicted when we have the intention for that thing outside of us to fix us. If we release that with an impeccable intention that this thing, hemp or anything else, is going to fix me, then what happens is we then begin to take ownership for what it is we're putting in our body. Real ownership, real commitment, not just BS habits and things that, when we create a habit, we make that go unconscious and we make it go on autopilot. I invite all of humanity for at least 10 years not to autopilot anything. Take cruise control off your car, okay? And stop automating everything. Really pay attention to what it is you don't like, you do like, what you prefer, what you're adaptive to and what you're not adaptive to. Because what you're not adaptive to is a hint of where crises, conditions, illnesses, traumas are going to show up.
Followed by self-judgment. Yeah, because all of that impacts the person, and then they immediately go into self-judgments, followed by the blaming, shaming, and complaining of pointing that finger at what's outside of them that they think is doing it to them.
Yes, and then we get stuck in that reward and punishment model, and we move away from self-responsibility. And so when we want something outside of us to make us feel better, to fix us, we can then become addicted to it because we're not in control of it. And I really don't like using the word control right now, because we use control in such a manipulated and dominating way in the planet that if we change the word to mastery, I can master what's outside of myself and steward my environment to be helpful and supportive for me and everyone else in the environment. And when I do that, and when I participate that way in the environment, everyone begins to win. Not just me, everyone. And when everyone wins, then there isn't as much anger, right?
Exactly. Ashley, I'd love to open up the call right now to people who have health questions. And, with your medical background and understanding of how the body works, and their questions about hemp, I'm just going to let them pop in. They can unmute their own microphone, and because no one can raise their hand in here, I've unmuted everybody. And let's see. Open door here, my friends. Go ahead and bring forward anything you like at this point. And maybe you could address. Yeah, go ahead, Myra.
When I looked online at some of the products. So when you're using the tincture, if you were starting at a minimal dose, how much would that be?
I support, that's a great question. Utilizing the tincture, what would be the minimum dose? If you have not been exposed to hemp or marijuana or the endocannabinoids, by the way, we have endocannabinoids in regular foods too, but it's in really micro doses, like black pepper. Some mustards have endocannabinoids in them. So there's different products have endocannabinoids in them too. It's funny because if you prefer foods that have endocannabinoids in them, you might want some. Your body might be wanting some, okay, as an indicator. And so how do you start? In the dose, it's in a bottle, it's in a glass bottle, it's white covered, so it's covered by light, and it has a little dropper in it, and the dropper is gradated. So the first level at the bottom is 25 milligrams, and 50 milligrams, 75 and 100. And what we suggest is everybody start at 25 and see how it feels. We've had a person that tried 50 or 75 milligrams, and she's an apothecary person, and she didn't realize that she was in stress and tension and overwhelmed because she suppressed it and hid it from herself, and had such a great persona out to the world that no one knew that she was highly stressed. So when she took it with an impeccable intention, she immediately, within like 2 or 3 minutes, started to feel profound peace because it was a big enough loading dose. I think it was 75 milligrams. And it was a big enough loading dose for her when she hadn't tried it before that she's like, what's going on? And I said, do you feel normal? She goes, yeah, and not. And I go, do you feel profoundly peaceful? And she goes, profoundly peaceful. I go, it's just because you had a high stress life. And the hemp plant with your impeccable intention, what was, and she didn't share. We asked her to create an impeccable intention and she didn't share what it was, but I said it might have something to do with your impeccable intention. And
I tell you that profound peace, and it scares people because they're like, my fire went out.
right.
How am I going to get anything done? Or they fall asleep, right? Which I'm not supposed to fall asleep. I got work to do.
So it might be a good thing to fall asleep or to go to sleep, or you feel sleepy because you're so profoundly peaceful, because your nervous system has been doing this, for days, weeks, months, years, decades, and you don't even know it. And then we wonder why do we have a tremor? Why is my voice stuttering? Why am I like, blah, blah, blah? Because we've been living that way. And it's okay. Like, it's okay. Let's laugh at ourselves and go, wow, I've really been jacked up my whole life. Wow. And so it allows you to calm, because calmness, now you asked another deeper question is when you're profoundly calm, how do you motivate yourself? Because we are a society that is motivated by negative emotions. Number one motivator is negative emotions. It lights a fire under our butt, right? Anger. And it's a very effective tool. However, it's very dangerous. It causes hypertension in everybody. There isn't anyone that is immune to hypertension when you get angry. Ever. Everybody does it. Even newborn babies get hypertensive when they get angry. Okay? Everybody, even if they have a full endocannabinoid system. But probably in the ICU, I'm not sure that their endocannabinoid system is full either. So I would love to further research in sick newborns and sick children and what's happening there. Because I've recognized when our endocannabinoid system, when our nervous system is intact, we have the ability to deal with what's in front of us, even if it's life and death situations. And we're just not used to it. We got so mental that that person that told me this, okay, this indignation, that person that told me this indignation, I'm so pissed off and I'm so irritated that I'm going to create all this fight or flight in my body just because this person did this to me. Okay, gave me indignation, okay, in a severe form. And I took it personally and I got mad myself. And so the whole situation goes awry and we don't really correct anything. I'm really sure that's where wars come from. So at our deepest level. So when we reach peace, Myra, what do you do? How do you motivate yourself from a state of peace?
Well, I still have, you still look at things and say, well, if that doesn't get done, the garden's going to be overgrown with weeds. So I guess today I should go out and do that. And I get out there. But I'm a lot more comfortable with sleeping whenever I feel like it, or not doing things, or saying, does that ever even have to happen this fall? Can it happen next spring? Let's let that go. And we're doing a lot more of that, my sisters and I. But we did have, we talked about the CBD and hemp, and we were hesitant. And then our dog had an injury and had to have surgery. So we started using it on him. And he's kind of hyper, but it made him really mellow. And you could tell it was working and he wasn't having pain. So we're not really as hesitant because, and I think we were giving him like 5 milliliters or something. I mean, really small. And the other day he was having a problem because he, I think, did too much walking or something. And so I gave it to him and he was just like really chilling and it was good. So I know it's not harmful to him. And it wasn't like we wanted to experiment on him. We didn't want to give him like the drugs the doctors wanted to give him. Then he's just all drugged up with pharmaceutical crap. So we wanted to try the CBD, and hemp was great. So now it's getting into what kind of dosing to do for us.
Right.
And I was looking on the site already. So yeah.
I sense that as you're moving out of levels because of your maturity in life, right? You're moving out of a heavy to-do list and a lot of other things, and you're moving into a well-saturated generative stage of your life and your lives together. And so you're accomplishing more levels of peace in that age group of maturity. And so how can us less mature people, fully active parents that's got toddlers at home and all this sort of stuff, like how do we create that level of peace? What if we can have peace even in the midst of chaos? So they're going to learn, you're going to learn, even as a more mature person, you can have even deeper, profound levels of peace, deeper levels of and then we move into manifestation rather than reaction and reasons why we aren't creating the results. And so we move more into life is happening through us versus life is happening to us. And when life is happening through us, we become a co-creator or a primary creator of our manifestations versus a reactor and a responder who's always pissed, upset, and maladaptive in their environments.
Yes.
So
The retirement, yes,
answering your question
retirement
about
does
how to
give,
get started a little
yeah,
bit at a time really helps
yeah,
because it helps you understand. And then you ask your body, would more help me get to the state of healing that I'm looking for? And so it's this inner guidance, right? It's this inner knowing of how to tap in to know what is the right dose, even for pharmaceuticals. Okay. Even for, I don't know, how many glasses of wine do you want to have or glasses of water do you want to have? You know, all of it's intuiting and understanding and assessing what's happening in your body, right? Every single thing you do, even weeding the garden. Like, what if you're like, okay, I want to weed in the areas that I need to get to be able to get to the deeper areas in the garden, right? Or I need to weed around this because the carrots are going to start blooming. And I don't want the weeds to choke out the carrots, you know, or whatever that is, right? So we
yes,
start to reassemble our lives in a different way versus having to be perfect about everything. And that perfection then becomes a process rather than a destiny.
yes. I would agree with that.
Wow, that's a
Somebody else
great
have a
question.
question?
I, I actually
Perfection
want to.
isn't as important as we used to think.
Oh, I know. Recovering perfectionist here. Ashley, I have a question about a damaged nervous system. And thank you, Myra, for that question and bringing forward that animals can benefit as well. That was
Yes.
beautifully placed. So I know people who've had shingles and they get reoccurring pain from, damage to their nerve in that particular area on the body where they got it. And I'm just wondering because I think that peace is profoundly absent when there's nerve pain in the body. It's as if the two said, nope, if the nerve pain is present, peace is not possible, and the door is slammed shut. And I'm wondering how hemp could bridge the gap between, you and I love to share with people that no one said you could not have peace while you were going through hell, right? The two can walk together or lay in bed together or sit together. What I'm getting at is I'd love to hear something along the lines of what happens when you have a damaged nervous system.
I think that's so valuable because, first of all, I don't know that everyone understands what shingles is. It's the herpes virus, and it's one particular type is the theory. I'm not sure that we know anything of everything at all. Okay, let's just put that out there, that we're always in lifelong learning and we're always learning. So this matter of fact kind of stuff is funny because I think it's going to start going out the window in the next few decades. And we're going to get really present with what is and work with that and develop diagnostics around that versus what we believe is true or what we need to be true to sell our product. Okay, so there's a lot in that realm. But when we move that realm out of manipulating and actually being really present with what's happening, shingles does have the ability to literally break apart the nerve endings. And then that's the extraordinary pain that we feel when the nerve endings are broken, like surgically broken by the virus. Okay. And so then the body, though, naturally, even as best as it can, no matter what your age group is, no matter how much stress you've had all your life, is those nerve endings start coming back together. However, it's the person's mind, usually their left brain, that says, nope, I don't want to ever feel that pain again, ever in my life, because I've had it when I was 16. and it feels like a saw and a jackhammer is literally at your side. Most people have it around their rib cage. It comes off a central nerve root off of the spinal cord, and it comes in. And I want to get to a deeper level of why did we host the virus in the first place? Okay, but let's just talk about being virally attacked by a herpes virus that severed nerve endings.
Yeah.
So what happens is in the person's mind, they're like, I don't want to ever experience that pain again. So they're mortally fearful of the pain. Why? Because it feels physically like they're being dismembered. And technically we are. The nerves are being dismembered. They're being disconnected completely. And so that's our hypervigilance towards not wanting to feel pain or suffering. And why this virus does that and why it happens like that, I don't know. That's a whole nother philosophical and biochemical conversation. Yeah. But what you're leaning towards is how could hemp help? Well, first of all, when those signs of it coming up again, i.e. the person has not healed why they're hosting that virus in their body in the first place. Okay? Not healed it. And then not healed the after effects or the PTSD effects of the pain that it caused having the initial illness. And so they're so afraid of it that they actually can recreate it and reproliferate those viruses in the body. And that's why our Western medicine world says, oh, it doesn't really go away ever. It just stays dormant in the body. Well, it only stays dormant because we haven't healed the root cause. That's the only reason why. And it is very evident that that's true. Because I have never had a reignitement of that shingles at all. And I'm not fearful of that pain. I do remember that pain, though. It was 5 decades ago, or 4.5. And I can still remember exactly what that pain felt like. But somehow in my mind, in my being, I let that go because I know it's no longer evident in my body. I'm not going to experience that type of viral experience ever again. And I know that I know that I know it. So how do we get to that? I know that I know that I know it. And I trust myself and I have faith in myself that that is absolutely true. And I think this is where really deep-seated belief systems come in online. And we really hold that stand for ourselves. We hold that pattern. We hold that commitment. And if it ever showed up again, I'm not going to get mad and pissed off at the world or myself or anything else. I'm going to go, wow. How did that happen again? Okay. And how do I help it heal this time? Because this time is going to be radically different than last time. And so we don't take that into consideration too. But really what hemp can help is, first of all, the THC, the Delta 8, can help the pain because you can understand where the energy is coming from. Okay. The energy of discord, the emotional energy of I hate life when it doesn't go my way. I'm pretty sure that's why that person is hosting that virus. Okay. How do you shift? I don't like it when things aren't going my way. Well, I don't know. We heal our inner child, right? Our wah toddler that sits like this. When do I get my next cookie? Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we were depleted or not allowed to have things, or we lived in poverty. We lived enslaved. We received weird trauma. I don't know, all kinds of things, right? But those are our responsibilities to heal inside of ourselves. We cannot expect those past experiences and those past people to fix it. They're not going to. Because if they were going to, it would have happened already, right? So those are the things that we really have to come to grips with and understand how to work through to help ourselves heal. The hemp capsules and the tincture, for example, will help us connect to, I am complete with shingles, as an example. I am complete with the pain and suffering. I am complete with the PTSD about the pain and suffering. I get all those aspects, and I'm now going to support myself in really healing. What is before me that is required to actually put this to bed and no longer it be pertinent or present in my body? So there are different ways. And so the endocannabinoid system, I would imagine, due to cellular injury to the neurons, hemp could help. Now we don't have the diagnostics to prove that true. So we have to use subjective measures of how you feel and whether you get the recurrence again, right now. So that's like, it's in our medical world, it's called clinical data. So it's data from what people have actually really experienced versus biochemical data that has been drawn from a laboratory or any form of diagnostic tool.
And, you know, we do live in an as you believe universe. So if you believe the hemp is going to heal the nerve endings, or you believe that the hemp is going to eradicate the problem, these are part of that impeccable intention. I am utilizing the hemp to help me bridge my belief system that this is true.
Yes. Now that is powerful, super powerful.
So this works too with autoimmune diseases, right?
Yes.
Autoimmune means my body is attacking itself because I have been attacking myself, right? What we have in our minds, in our, you know, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, where we manifest those thoughts against ourselves, whether it's self-doubt, self-hatred, self-cursing, self-judgment, believing our body hates us, right?
It's so awesome because I know someone dear to my heart that, especially during COVID, kept telling himself, F me, F you, F this. And I'm like, okay. When are we going to complete that story inside of ourselves? But never. I'm like, really? Okay. So why do we have hypertension? Why do we have chronic problems, right? Yeah. Oh, maybe because I say F me, F you, F this all day long, every day, under my breath, with my breath, in every kind of way.
And along those lines, it's, I don't get to have what I want, right? So I'm screwed, whatever. Okay, I would imagine hemp entering the person who has these repetitive thoughts with, you know, whether it's lupus or Hashimoto's or something else, there is some underlying, you know, definitely there's inner work that has to be done, right? But can hemp assist with the, okay, I'm going to make an assumption here and you can correct me. Does it reduce the symptoms of the autoimmune disease because the mind is going to peace, and peace organically creates homeostasis in the body, which allows the stress to come down and the healing of the body's organic processes to go up. But as long as stress stays high, those natural processes are suppressed, right?
Completely.
So there's a tipping point probably where stress and homeostasis get to maybe a plateau, but then the person really can amplify their healing by going, okay, I really need to let go of more of my judgments so that switch happens and the healing is amplified.
Yes. And we're just beginning to learn about that aspect when we've learned about what really creates maladaptability and what really creates resistance and procrastination and denial and our subconscious thoughts. And people tell me all the time, I wasn't thinking that. I said, I didn't ask you if you were thinking that. I asked you to go deep inside and say, is there something buried inside of me that keeps coming up, that keeps producing this symptom?
Let's call it a hot potato. Because we keep passing it, right? Not today, not today. not for me.
Oh, we can make a little video about that. That's funny, right?
I know. Like,
I think isn't there a nursery rhyme song about that? 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato.
3 potato more. A sack of potatoes. Yeah, I mean, the scale at which we create high inflammation states in our body are completely due to stress. So I completely understand now the value of hemp and how it does work to bring more peace and stability to the nervous system so that it can do its job and the person can get out of the way of the nervous system so the nervous system can connect to the glands, the organs, and start working better with the brain to move out the blockages, because that's us. We can be our own worst enemy getting in the way because, ow, it hurts, right? And we stop the flow of the nervous system from the brain about what the brain wants to tell the cut at the tip of the finger to do to heal itself. So now if we get mellow, we just chill, then we begin to deepen our healing process instead of spinning around.
I sense from a deeper way to look at this is, if we don't manage and master our nervous system and our anxiety and our upset and our frustration and our anger, we then don't have access to help ourselves heal. We have to depend on somebody else or something else to fix us.
Yeah.
And that has been where we've moved into through Western medicine, through our society values, through belief systems, through raising of children. All of these things have pointed us in that direction because we have passed the potato on learning how to work with our stress. Our physical, our mental, our emotional, our spiritual, our financial, our every other relationship, our intimacy, everything that we have really missed the mark in understanding how to work with our stress. And so we don't have to make everybody wrong that we have a Western medicine system that counts on us being dependent upon it. Okay. So there are doctors and nurses and pharmacists and respiratory therapists and everybody part of the healthcare system that does not want to make people addicted to Western medicine. Okay. We don't need to be addicted to, if we have thyroid problems, we don't need to be addicted to hormone medications. I think hormones and endocrine system is where we're really off key, all together, all around the whole world. And we have not learned to manage that process. And I think microplastics and other toxins in our world too impact our endocrine system and impact our hormonal system in ways we never knew could happen to us. So getting access to learning how to clear toxic things, toxins physically, toxins mentally, mental toxins, emotional toxins, spiritual toxins, financial toxins. I don't know. We could put toxins everywhere, right? Yeah. So what is toxic in my life that is causing stress that I haven't been able to address yet? That is our inner work. And reframing that and reworking that. We're still getting the same things done. We're still doing the laundry. We're still cleaning the house. We're still right now paying bills in the way we're paying bills. We're looking at new monetary systems. We're looking at new government systems. We're looking at new educational systems. And by the way, this is a topic of a new healthcare system. Your healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when
you're taking
able
charge
to stand
of it,
in your power to physically be adaptive to what is happening, you have then the power to help it heal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing conversation.
Hey,
and I want to really thank our audience for
Tracy
attending this. Yes, Tracy, please share.
Yeah, thanks so much. So fascinating stuff, by the way. One of the things that, as I'm kind of listening to you and trying to take in, is especially because, I live in a state where, none of this, well, technically CBD is okay to buy. But there's so many brands out there, and I just want to be really intentional in buying the right one, which ones to stay away from. And so what are some good recommendations out there? Do you have any?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. Do I have any? Again, this would be my experience and my brilliance and my knowing coming through to tell you what to do. So I have a question for you, and it's for you, the whole audience. And Tracy, thank you for bringing this question to the forefront. Is how do you go to the grocery store and check out the best noodles to buy? And how do you know which grocery store is the best grocery store to go to? So it depends, right, on our goals, our intentions, and what it is we want to put in our body. So how do you, I could do muscle testing, right? Or divination. Annie's got some cool divining rods, right? And different ways to do it. We can do the sway test at the grocery store and lean in for yes and lean back for know. I see people in the grocery store doing it all the time. I'm like, good job. What is it? What'd you get? What answer did you get? And they're like, what? You saw that? And I'm like, yeah, I saw that. That was great. You were tuning into what your body wants. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they keep doing it. I'm like, keep doing it. Tell other people how to do it. It's awesome. Okay. So Tracy, how do you, since you brought up the question, how do you discern what is good for you and what is not good for you? And most of us tune in energetically and we don't realize we're doing it. So I wanted you to have the awareness inside yourself is what do you choose?
So I always do a little bit of research on stuff I'm going to buy. And I always lean towards if it's organic, where's it actually processed? How much nonsense crap is in there? And so those are kind of some of the things that I just as a normal go-to. What kind of crap's in there? Is it organic? Is there who's actually, is it a small farmer versus a big corporate farm company that's doing it? Because I'll lean towards, if you're going to use organic, if you're going to do this and try to go clean, then I would choose a smaller local person, just because I love to support small businesses, right? So those are the kind of things that I choose, how I choose things.
We do too. We have a nonprofit that we're forming called Back to Community. So it's soil, plants, and community. And we are basing our business construct on that, so that everything returns to the community and everything returns to plants to support us, and everything comes from the soil. Clean, organic soil that has not been tainted or polished with some chemicals that don't serve us. Okay?
Actually,
and so in those processes, what we do is it's all certified, all organic, and it's all plant-based ingredients, all of them, in all of the products that we have. So we have 3 topicals, a roll-on that has no THC in it that you can roll on, that has so it's broad spectrum endocannabinoid system, or broad spectrum hemp. Then full spectrum hemp oil is where it has a little trace THC in it, delta 8 THC, to give you the whole array of endocannabinoids that the body would utilize. I have a firm belief that the body utilizes what it utilizes, and what it doesn't need, it discards. And we learn how to discard it. Even microplastics. We can learn how to break apart those molecules. We break apart molecules all day long, every day in our bodies. Most of those things we call peptides, lipase, chemicals that are molecules that end in ace, end up breaking apart molecules so that we can reutilize those atoms in a new configuration. And we do this all day long in our body, and we don't realize it. And we don't always have the diagnostics to prove it true yet. So what do we do? What do we go on? You do some research. So when you do research, do you feel into it? Do you experience, this company seems really good, this company doesn't? A lot of people use what people brand things with, or how people put together their colors or their font. I'm going to tease Annie a little bit. And and so that's how we judge what's happening. But really, when we pull the curtain aside of all the stuff that's up front in the marketing, what is really behind the scenes? What is the value of the company? What frequency of the company do you feel come through your body? Many people utilize different frequency gauges, like David Hawkins' map of consciousness, for example, to understand the integrity of the company. How do they function? Where do they get their stuff from? Like you said, we get it from all organic hemp farms. It's nice because it's less regulated by agencies who formulate the regulations to sell more products to those who are running the regulatory agencies. Okay, so there's a lot of negativity in our government control that controls flow of money more than flow of product, or flow of a product that's actually going to help. We've all experienced that with a medicine called ivermectin for COVID and other things. So we've experienced these things. There are people out there that says we know how to cure cancer. Well, I know how to cure cancer too, is address all levels of stress. all day long, every day. And when you do that, you'd be amazed how rapidly awake, alert, alive you are to the stress that you're experiencing and undoing it moment by moment. And when you undo that stress and you're no longer a victim to stress, I'm not sure that cancer can even enter the body, because it doesn't, the genes and the cells don't shift to the maladaptive state. And so Annie brought up a good word about homeostasis. What is homeostasis? It's just a physiological balance in the body. Most times we talk about homeostasis in the Western medical world about our blood being purified, our blood being clean, and our blood being in homeostasis to deliver nutrients and to take out toxins out of the body. But we can also look at another word that many scientists are coming up, especially in the hemp and the cannabis world, in the power plant world, is allostasis. Allostasis means your own body. How do you create your own body in a state that is constantly balanced, moment to moment, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year? Because then we start losing aging ability, and we start looking more how we feel and how we're engaging with life rather than a mature age or a chronicle age that we're going to. So then we move into areas which Annie touched on, you're touching on, is the availability of how do we live our life in full health all the way up into the day we decide to transition out of the body. And I think the way that we can transition out of the body successfully with love and lay down and go to sleep and leave our body and give it a big kiss and a hug goodbye and say, thank you for such an amazing life. I'm complete, right? How do we do that? Well, we do that by letting go of stress. We do that by becoming adaptive, even adaptive spiritually. And so how do we attain that level of life? What if you could live all the way up until the day you transition perfectly healthy, happy, and well-adjusted, young, vibrant, and vital? That's all of us tuning in. So that's why I redirected the question to you, Tracy, and to you, the listener, everyone, including myself and Annie and everyone, how do we tune in to know what's best for us in the moment? And again, we always do the best that we can. And the best that we can is to recognize in the moment that I'm creating a choice. Am I creating a choice out of convenience? Do I have enough time? I'm just going to pick those noodles right off the shelf. I don't care if there's GMO. I don't care if it's plastic in it. I mean, we're hearing and seeing the proof that rice, they're putting plastic in rice. Okay, real plastic. They put plastic in American cheese for decades. That peel apart plastic American cheese by our favorite company, okay, they put plastic and many other ingredients in there for fillers to make money, not to nourish America. Okay, so creating those distinctions for yourself is probably really helpful, because that's where your brilliance really tunes in. So my brilliance is going to tune in a little differently than yours may be. So I may not know how to give you the best advice to tune in, because what you're tuning into is what you've constituted in your life, right? So I love what you shared, though, in the different applications of what we can do. So we can do behind the scenes checks. We can, I don't like to call it vetting a company. It isn't about vetting a company, because if we have to vet something, we may have some premeditated mistrust. So instead of it, and like you said so openly, is which company do I trust? I have to tell you, I did try some other companies and CBD products, and they're amazingly awful. I was like, wow, how did you make this taste out of that? I was like, this is amazing. Like, this taste is horrific. And I was like, is it supposed to be horrific? Like, what's going on? And it didn't have the same flavor profile, but we're not really taking it for flavor, right? But how is it made? Why is it made? What was the company in for it? We really do stand by, we're here to emancipate humanity's brilliance. I don't know if we can get closer to the impeccable intention that hemp was always created to be, is to connect to our brilliance. And I think when we're disconnected and we have a disconnected nervous system, and we have a disconnected immune system, and we have a disconnected from our body, because it's hurting me, or I'm in pain, or I hate my body, or I hate life. If I have those things running in my life, my ability to discern becomes very difficult. And so I want to support people in sharing out loud. How do we sharpen our discernment? Right? And so that's what I want to share. Our company, though, really lives in the vein of, if you're going to create such an impeccable intention as to create a company and a product to emancipate humanity's brilliance, that's no shortcoming, right? There's no shortcuts in that arena. And so we work at our very best to be the most impeccable company that we can be, all the way from the hemp farms. So we don't use just one hemp farm, because if one hemp farm goes out from a hurricane or something like that, we can't serve our customers. We can't serve the people that are looking to serve themselves.
I want to add something here. Ashley and I have built our business on the premise of integrity, which means absent of consciousness challenges. And Ashley and I have both been working on creating business intuition technologies over the years, because we need to have conscious global business leaders. And so I know that Ashley never would have gone into Botany Scientifics if she did not feel that the frequency was the highest that she could find to join. And I know for a fact that Ashley knows many hemp growers over in the islands of Hawaii, because she's podcasted with them before, interviewing them. And, I've learned a little bit along the way about some of the things that are possible with hemp clothing and hempcrete and all this. So to me, just knowing you, Ashley, and the high level of impeccability that you live your life with, right? You would not be the profound healer that you are if you were not committed to staying connected to your integrity. And so I know that for you to endorse Botany Scientifics means something. And that's because I know you, right? I would not be doing this podcast if you were not what I consider like one of the penultimate individuals that I love and trust. And quite honestly, your inner guidance and your ability to muscle test and to know instantly, not just as a medical intuitive, because, from working with you, I've seen and listened to you, and I've seen and witnessed incredible R&D, which is research and development, that we have done together. Ashley's ability to tune in to frequencies is off the charts, because she's cleared those fears with deep commitment so that her filters are almost to the point of non-existent. And that's why I call her my ascended master friend. So
we're all ascending, and it's miraculous, because I'll even catch myself. I'm like, oh, I clearly fear this situation. Yeah. And I clearly know I'm fearing it, and I feel it. I know it. It's here. I have no idea the extent of it. It's probably really deep. And I'm going to then ask another person the question that doesn't have the fear I have, and start to unravel this fear, not making myself wrong or the situation wrong anymore. I really don't listen to stories anymore, because the stories reveal the pattern. They reveal the context. They reveal the scaffolding of what created that story in the first place. Exactly. So when I go to that and I get off of storytelling to myself and I start looking at the patterns, what is the pattern? What is the pattern I created? What is the pattern I created with them? What is the pattern that they are creating back with me? How are we following this crazy town activity of stress and maladaptiveness? And then how can I become adaptive to support the other person of the environment to be adaptive, so that we can all work together achieving a common goal?
I want to add one more thing. And then if there's anyone else that has a question, please pipe up after me. I went to look at the topical hemp oil on the website botanyscientifics.com. And I was so blown away. The ingredients, the recipe, the formulation, I guess is what you would say, for that product. Like, you know, my style is I step into it and I just feel it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I was able to like kind of smell it in my mind's eye and just feel the power, the potency, and, you know, just the blend of herbs and essential oils and the arnica and then the hemp in a base of olive oil. And I just felt the ancient plant medicine wisdom in that bottle. And I was just like, wow, I just went there. And I was like, this is a beautiful product. So anyways, I'll pop that link over in the chat portion of our channel.
Well, see, that's your brilliance of discernment, Annie. And I really want to acknowledge you because it is, I find it rare and I'd love it to be average and everybody does it. Your ability to step in and to represent the energy of that thing, that person, that entity, that business, that whatever noun we're focusing on, you have the ability, extraordinary sensory ability, to step in, feel, and experience its full nature. You may have some filters or some preferences about what it is or what it isn't.
Sure.
I think we all do. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's no way
I'm pretty sure if it
I'm
had
stepping
fish
into
or
a
peanut
burger
butter
from a
in
fast
it.
food restaurant anytime soon. But at the same time, though, you have the ability to really experience that full experience before experiencing it in a real, authentic way. And I think that's a huge level of discernment. We call it being the rep of. So you were representing the feeling and the nurturing of what you described was nurturing to me, the nurturing of the hemp plant inside your body. And I really love that we can have the ability through witnessing your brilliance in understanding in ourselves. I can step in and be a rep for that experience.
Yeah.
And really have that tool of discernment.
It's true. I just sort of go into oneness with the product. And as I started to jokingly say, as long as it doesn't have peanut butter or fish in it, I won't recoil. And yes, I am working on it. But yeah, no, it's something that can be learned. And I learned it through doing family constellation work as a representative. And many of you have participated in some of my online constellations where you got to be in the role of something. And it's quite natural for our inner guidance to go into oneness with something. And why don't we just all take 30 seconds and let's go into oneness with the frequency of full spectrum hemp from Botany Scientifics and just feel the peace that is available in a 25, is it milligram capsule.
Yeah.
So just imagine it's in you. It has been absorbed. Your nervous system has recognized it. Breathe in. Where did it go in your body? Just feel that right away. And just go, oh, look at that. It went right to that spot. Now, I can share because this all happens very quickly with me now because this is what I do for a living. It went right to my solar plexus, right? The anchor point for where adrenaline is released to flow through the fascia. And I perceived, like a scuba diver, little bubbles leaving my body of tension. And all of a sudden, I had like a glowing white space of peace in my solar plexus. Like, oh, I even felt my breath come in nice and cool right into that spot. And I was just like, oh, and look at those bubbles, like gas leaving the body. Like, bye.
That's so beautiful.
So that was my experience. Did anyone else have an experience they want to share?
May I speak?
Please, Susan, welcome. It's so lovely to have you here.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
I'll just add to that, but I have so much more to say. I got it in my solar plexus right away. Yeah, went right there. Traveled through my heart first, though. Gave it some extra love. So I can speak to is that I absolutely love hemp. And I too have been using hemp on my pet for almost 2 years now, a tincture, who's 17 and has heart failure and is blind and arthritis. And he hikes with me every day. So I've seen the long-term effects of hemp, which then prompted me to be energetically aligned to Ashley's new venture, and my field of awareness went right to Ashley to reach out to her. So I can happily say that I am a user. My dog is a user, a distributor, and I have already been selling the product. So testimonial, energetics of it, and the responses so far have been magnificent because of the teachings that both of you bring. I'm able to energetically empower them and teach them emotional mastery beyond what is CBD and treating their bodies. And I teach them muscle testing. And these are younger kids. So I'm in awe, and I just, I love the energetics of the products, and, the properties of the ingredients, I speak to it emphatically because it's whether it's the sleep gummies or just the tincture capsules, when you think about the whole ecosystem of the body, and you take individually people purchasing those products and then them working synergistically, that's what the whole endocannabinoid system's about. So I teach them that aspect. So I've been taking the capsules, and then I'll do a tincture when I kind of want a quicker onset. And the roll-on saved me when my dog and I were hiking, and we both got stung by over a dozen bees together. And yet I had to focus on him first. And I happened to have the roll-on in my hiking bag. And I took him to the hospital, and I was rolling on it, and it really did alleviate that acute pain to get me through. So I was so grateful that I had it, and then I actually remembered to use it. So, yeah, I can't speak more highly. And I'm not trying to be a testimonial, but I'm a user, and I love teaching the energetics to this and a new system that empowers everybody from young to old.
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
Thank you, Susan. Wow, what a great, and this is what I mean is each person in their own brilliance has their own way of connecting and interacting and creating balance in their body. To make it all a cookie cutter way, I don't think is even realistic for us humans, right?
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing that essence and that way of being. And I think we're so programmed to have proof consciousness and to know that it's going to work and my investment is good and all of this sort of thing. And we don't realize that the investment isn't the money and it isn't the product. It's you. And it's you utilizing this product in our world of life to recognize something we hadn't recognized in ourselves. So it brings us to a new level of awareness. And my utilizing it for the last 7 months to be a product of the product and to know what the product's about and to really listen on multiple levels of people and their experience with it, is I've realized that you can just keep growing, that our journey of lifelong living, our journey of adaptability just keeps increasing, right? We get adaptive from stress. Now what would we like to do? Go hiking with congestive heart failure, right? And maybe he's not even in congestive heart failure anymore. I'm not sure, right? I mean, it's really amazing to recognize that when we surpass what we think is possible, we open up to the world of potentials and possibilities we never even knew were available. So new thinking and new ways of being automatically get produced from our taking responsibility for our health and ourselves.
I want to bring up a lie that we tell ourselves that is really funny. The person who is the most stressed believes they handle stress the best. And they keep adding to their stress, demonstrating that they're multitasking their stress. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And the person who appears peaceful is often the one that's misinterpreted as either doesn't have a clue about stress, but actually they're the one in mastery. And so I want all of us to wake up to the ways in which we disguise our stress even to ourselves so that we get out of that denial, because truly health, and I quizzed my husband who has a PhD in biochemistry and biophysics and did cancer research for 10 years and other research in, crafting molecular drug matches, right, through crystallography and other things. I said, hey, is there any white papers or proof that shows that fear creates stress? And he goes, hundreds, probably thousands. It's very well known in the medical community that fear creates stress and stress creates ill health. I said, oh, thank God. I didn't have to go down that path of, oh, now I got to provide evidence that fear creates stress and stress creates ill health. It's so well documented out there. So I want to just wrap up our call and be very honorific that we all must begin to recognize our stress levels, because no amount of hemp, no amount of anything else is really going to help us. I mean, you'll be forever leaning into hemp and anything else, that is outside of you if you don't begin working on energy mastery. And that is what Ashley and I came together to do, which was create a leap of consciousness so that we could become self-aware of the unconscious thoughts and the patterns that we produce from those thoughts. And here in this channel, Leap of Consciousness, you'll find plenty of material, and we're here to help you. This is just the beginning. This is a door opener. And Ashley, on the website, Botany Scientifics, there is a place where people can ask Ashley, right? Is that correct?
Yes. There is a message box where you can email me questions. And then there's also a blog space where I'm creating blogs to share and explain and bring into witness everybody's potential and opportunity with utilizing hemp.
Awesome. So if you didn't get your question out today, you can still ask Ashley over on Botany Scientifics with an S.com. And we're so grateful that you joined us today for this beautiful discussion. And Ashley, thank you so much for your time and the presence of everyone here today and all of those who watch this video and bring their presence to this video and are choosing peace. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you, Ashley. I love you dearly. And have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world.
Thank you.